Okay, just before we do the chanting, I just want to make an announcement to do with the time. Tonight, the clocks in Australia go back to Eastern Standard Time, Australian Eastern Standard Time. We've been on for the last 6 months or so, the Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So the clocks go back an hour, which means basically in England, for instance, today, it's 10 tomorrow, and for the next 6 months or so it will be 9 hours difference. And for those of you in the Southeast Asian countries, for instance, I think it's Philippines and Singapore, I think at the moment you are 3 hours behind us, so that'll be 2 hours. I know in Thailand it's 4 hours, and that'll be 3 hours. So please adjust your clocks, whoever is, or adjust your times, whoever is participating overseas with the live classes, okay? Of course, that doesn't matter for the people who study or listen to and view the video on Facebook and YouTube. So I wanted to say that straight away so I didn't forget, okay? Because I think last time that happened, I did get some messages from people saying, I tried to join, but, so say it straight up front. So let's do the chanting now, and before we do some meditation, and then finish up today on the 6 paramitas, okay? Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, about to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, about to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, about to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, about to follow it completely. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Tayatam gati gati parasangati bodhisoha. Tayatam gati gati parasangati bodhisoha. Tayatam gati gati parasangati bodhisoha. So now get yourself ready for meditation. As always, initially we will release the tension from the body. So bring your focus to doing that, starting from the tips of your toes, work the way up the legs, up your upper torso to your shoulders, down to the tips of your fingers, and then back up to the top of your head. So let's take a little bit of time to do that now. And when you are ready, no hurry. But when you finish doing that, bring your mind to your breath. Place your mind onto your breath. The feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, all the way into your lungs, and then back out your nose again. Lips gently touching, tongue resting on the upper palate, above your top teeth in your mouth. Shoulders and the rest of the body too, upright but not rigid, not slouching. Breathing in, breathing out. That's all we have to do now, is focus on that. The most important physical thing that we do in this life is breathing. And if you like, you can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths from 1 to 10, not past 10. And if you become distracted on the way to 10, then stop there and go back to 1. If thoughts arise or any mental activity arises, mental agitation and the like, let it go naturally by refocusing on your breath. Don't cling to it, don't grasp at it, or try to forcefully push it away or deny it, but let it go naturally by applying the antidote of replacing the mind back onto the breath. And if while engaging in this short session, short breath meditation session, your mind starts to become sleepy and dull, then brighten it up a little bit by refocusing more brightly on the breath. So let's practice like this in silence for a few minutes. So now you can feel very pleased with yourself for engaging in the practice. And now we will switch to loving kindness meditation. Fill yourself with loving kindness. Really be loving and kind towards yourself. Friendship, appreciation, acceptance, respect, gratitude. Universal loving kindness also includes non-violence, harmlessness, and the like. Really feel this loving kindness inside yourself. Feel your whole being with it. So much so that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to your loved ones, family and friends. And also to strangers. And even those that you may find difficult to deal with, may even regard as enemies. May all of these people have happiness and its causes, be free from suffering and its causes, and be peaceful. Gradually, further and further, radiate this loving kindness outwards to now include all of those living beings that live around your immediate area. Whether they live on the land or under the land even, in the waters, fly through the air, all the living beings without limit. Now radiate the loving kindness throughout your whole state or county. Radiating this loving kindness to every single living being. That's one way to look at it. And also another way is all living beings. And throughout other states and counties throughout your whole country. And other countries throughout the whole world. Initially those you're familiar with and have an affinity towards, as well as those you don't know about hardly at all, if at all. And even if you have some sort of bias against some countries for whatever reason, to those countries to extend your loving kindness. May all the living beings throughout this whole world have happiness and its causes, be free from suffering and its causes, never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they have a mind of equanimity, may they be peaceful. And further throughout the whole solar system and the whole galaxy and throughout the universe. Have this loving kindness that is generated in your own heart-mind pervade throughout infinite space. And at the same time be present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So, Homage to the enlightened ones. Homage to the enlightened one within your own mind. So for the last period of time, I'd say it's been, I think we started maybe start of July-ish. And so what's that? Now it's the start of April. So about 8 or 9 months with a little bit of a break in the middle there, where we spoke about other things, including answering some questions and talking about the prayers. But, so you could say it's probably 8 months we've spent on this 6 paramitas, or 6 transcendental perfections. And I actually viewed a video, I think from sometime in November the other day, because before I repost them on Facebook, I just have a quick look at the teachings. And so not the first part, just go straight to the Dharma Talk. And I actually noticed that I mentioned, oh, we'll finish this in about 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. But actually it's taken extra 3 or 4 months. But like I said, I'm never in a hurry giving the Dharma teachings. And I think that's really important. Even if on occasions, maybe some more advanced students of you, maybe, you're rehearing things over and over, but it's not such a bad thing. Even if it's for the case of you sharing the Dharma, you get to hear the Dharma over and over, and then you get to work out ways that you can share the Dharma with others, whether that's speaking to them or just radiating the goodness that you develop, the meritorious goodness that you radiate outwards from your practice. And so last week we went through the 7-point cause and effect practice, and also the 4 immeasurables, which all relate to this, the practice of the 6 paramitas. Now, you could say the 3 stages of the path is renunciation, Bodhicitta, the great compassion, and the wisdom of emptiness. So the renunciation, which I've spoken about before, can be developed by contemplating, really thoroughly analyzing, investigating and analyzing, first of all, the precious human life, this human birth that we have that is so rare, that has so many freedoms, so many good conditions for us to be able to practice the Dharma. And contemplate this, to utilize this precious human life. And also to contemplate on impermanence, anicca, that every single experience we have, every single physical thing, mental thing is impermanent. Okay, so that it will end because we have caused this. We are continually being reborn in samsara, in cyclic existence due to our karma. The good conditions come from the good karma, the bad conditions from the bad karma, and neutral likewise. So the life will end. But so that's a certainty, and then the uncertainty is when, and you could add to that how. So you can contemplate this, not to bring ourselves down, make ourselves regret what we didn't do or did do that maybe we think we could have done differently or not done at all, and the like. But just to contemplate reality here, the relative reality of conditioned phenomena. It's impermanent, constantly changing due to cause and effect. And then the third contemplation is to contemplate on cause and effect, on the universal law of karma. This will enable us to, first of all, abandon engaging in unwholesome acts of the body, speech, and mind that will reap negative results, and rather to engage in wholesome, and eventually even go beyond that. Okay, so to understand the emptiness of the cause and the effect. Okay, so that's the third contemplation. The fourth contemplation is the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. We are not enlightened yet. We are continually reborn according to our karma. Even intense happiness of the heavens comes to an end at some stage. It's changing. So this is unsatisfactory, isn't it? So contemplate these four preliminary contemplations. Contemplate precious human life or birth, contemplate impermanence, contemplate the law of karma, of cause and effect, and contemplate the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. This will help us turn our mind to the Dharma and away from just worldly existence and just trying to satisfy our senses and so forth. Excuse me for a second. So that's renunciation, very briefly covered. Then the next stage on the path is bodhicitta. How did we develop the bodhicitta? We spoke about it last week, the 7-point cause and effect method. Put that into practice, or put into practice the 4 immeasurables, or do both. And also to develop these first 5 paramitas: generosity, morality, patience, effort, and concentration. And then, of course, the 3rd stage on the path is realizing the wisdom of emptiness. And this, of course, is the 6th paramita. All right, so develop this bodhicitta, create the conditions for us to be able to perceive this empty nature. 3 stages of the path. So now, because this is the last class for the time being on the 6 paramitas, of course we can revisit this in time in the future as well. I will go over them once more. I think we have about 14 minutes to go. So once again, you can, you probably know this already. If you haven't, try to memorize these, you could say 3 aspects of each of the 6 paramitas. Okay, just even if it's just in the phrase that we use to point them out. So generosity, the 3 types of generosity: the giving of material aid, especially to virtuous objects, those that have been so kind to you as well, and those beings that are in real need. The giving of material aid. Then there is the giving of the protection from fear. As mentioned many times, we all have hopes and fears, hoping for what we find pleasurable, etc., and fearing getting what we would find unpleasant and the like. We all have these fears, we all have these hopes, which are all at the moment based on a lack of understanding, a lack of wisdom, based on attachment and aversion. It comes from this lack of understanding. That's a nice way to put ignorance, isn't it? But that's actually the direct translation of the word in Pali, avijja, or in Sanskrit, avidya. Vidya or vijja means to know, or knowing, with the R in front of it that negates it. So it's a lack of wisdom, a lack of understanding, or a lack of knowing. In English, of course, we use the word ignorance mostly. From this ignorance arises duality, dualistic thinking, conceptual thinking. And the first 2 mind states that come from that, the mental factors, I should say, are attachment and aversion. You could say 2 opposites coming from the root. And then, as you know, this leads to all of the other mental afflictions. We worry about these things. The 8 worldly concerns, we're so concerned with these things. Wanting to gain, not lose, wanting pleasure, not pain, wanting praise, not blame, wanting fame, not infamy. So we need to start to chip away at these mental afflictions, basically. I won't go into that anymore. I went down the branch of the tree, back to the root, or the trunk. And so giving the protection from fear, helping others to be free from fear. Some of them are in intense fear or experiencing intense fear, while others may be more subtle, hard to recognize. But we should do our best to help give up this, or help them give up these fears. Also the giving of the Dharma. the third type of generosity. Dharma dana, the giving of the Dharma. The Dharma teachings, whatever you understand thoroughly in the Dharma teachings, you should give that whenever it is appropriate to do so. And in the meantime, radiate it silently outwards. If you have the opportunity to share the Dharma, whether it's, instructing on meditation, whether that's formally or just with some friends, whether you're doing it, long time or short sessions, you should do so. Whenever the time is appropriate, you should do this. Then, of course, the second of the transcendental perfections is morality, or you could also call discipline. And this is the morality or the discipline of relinquishing the unwholesome actions of body, speech, and mind. And also the discipline of engaging only in wholesome actions of body, speech, and mind that bring benefit to one and all. And also the discipline of helping others, of benefiting others. When our mind is wholesome, the actions will follow. Also, when our mind is wholesome, it is not unwholesome. And when we benefit others, this tends to take our mind away from being selfish and self-centered. And it also feels nice. It's one way to feel nice. One of the easiest ways is to benefit others. You don't have to think about anything that's profound that you can't understand yet. We're all capable of benefiting others, even if it's as simple as avoiding the unwholesome. Sometimes don't say anything. Sometimes don't do anything. And that can bring benefit as well. Then we have the third of the paramitas is patience. Oh, I should mention the morality or discipline in Pali is sila, Sanskrit shila. And patience is Dutiyampi perfection of patience. Sometimes it can be translated as forbearance, forbearing the difficulties and the like. So we have patience when being harmed, not to react in a negative way. To put it really simply, if you are being harmed in whatever way, obviously, you don't put up with it. You remove yourself from the situation as quickly as possible. But also don't react mentally to it. You could say that if somebody is, trying to make you angry, and then you get angry, instead of being patient, then you're actually giving in to what they want you to do. So when we get angry, we are the loser at that time. And it is also said that even a small, an outburst of anger, a short outburst of anger can destroy so much good karma that we've created over time. So if you contemplate this will help you not to give in to anger and to be patient and forbear this difficulty of when we're being harmed. The second one is the patience when experiencing obstacles, especially on the Dharma path. We're going to experience some obstacles on the Dharma path because we have created them. And the more we practice the Dharma well, consistently, the more we start to purify the negative karma. We will still experience the results, but they'll be much smaller than if we didn't. Just like taking out a weed from your garden, for instance, when it's quite small, and then getting it out from the root rather than letting it grow. And then, of course, some seeds may grow in it, and then the weeds go everywhere. They become big. It's the same with our mental afflictions and the like. So patience when dealing with obstacles on the Dharma path. Be courageous, as well. Then, of course, we have the patience with the nature of reality. We don't perceive directly this idea, or it is an idea for us at the moment, the concept, even right now, of the wisdom of emptiness, the empty nature of all conditioned phenomena. We must be patient with that, not fight against it and push it away. Another way to put it is you're actually being patient with yourself, aren't you? That we're imperfect right now, and we're working our way towards realizing beyond perfection. We must patiently endure this lack of understanding that we have right now. And courageously face these deeper teachings, these profound teachings. The fourth of the paramitas is Viriyaparamita, or effort or energy, and what I like to call enthusiastic perseverance, because it has those two aspects. So we should persevere when we're finding it a little bit difficult and maybe don't have as much enthusiasm on occasions. And then the enthusiasm will help us to persevere, make it much easier to practice. Whether or not practicing the Dharma is a burden or is easy depends on our attitude, depends on all of the paramitas, but especially this one. So we must make the effort, persevere in abstaining from unwholesome actions, especially related now to the mind, like all of the Dharma is. Relinquish the unwholesome states of mind, if they have arisen, and protect our mind if they haven't arisen yet. Have them not arise, make sure they don't arise. And then, of course, if you have wholesome thoughts already, keep them, nurture them, perfect them. If you haven't got them, adopt them. What to adopt, what to abandon. So I just spoke about the first two, and the third one has the element of enthusiasm, as mentioned. Joy in the practice. Dharma piti, Dharma joy. So relinquish the unwholesome, adopt the wholesome, and work with enthusiasm, because now you really can see the goodness in the practice. As you do this based on true investigation and analysis, and then thoroughly testing it by putting it into practice, your enthusiasm will increase naturally, become much, much easier. And then, of course, you have the samadhi paramita, or the perfection of concentration, which, of course, in the beginning is quite ordinary. But even if you engage in short meditation sessions working to improve our concentration, we're already doing better than the most of the world, actually. So our practice may be regarded as ordinary now, but it's actually already starting to be extraordinary, because it's very, very few people really practice the meditation. If you think about percentages of the people in the world, for instance. And then your concentration can develop to vast levels of concentration, of consciousness, deep, 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 extraordinary. And of course, eventually you can realize one-pointed mind, one-pointed concentration. And then, of course, the most recent part of this commentary on the 6 paramitas was the Prajnaparamita, the perfection of wisdom. So I won't go into too much detail there, but basically just to remind you that if we keep it to 3 without any examples whatsoever, the wisdom that arises from practicing the wisdom of hearing, then the wisdom that arises from the practice of the wisdom of contemplation, and then the wisdom that arises from the practice of practice, actually, practice of meditation, absorbing the mind. So that is basically the 6 paramitas. This helps us, even along the way, as we practice, with patience, with effort, and the others. This helps us to alleviate our hopes and fears, to decrease our attachment, to decrease our aversion, and leads eventually to uprooting the root, uprooting ignorance, and unveiling the wisdom and compassion, unveiling our enlightened nature. So I know maybe about 30 seconds to go. Next week, I will address some questions that have come in regards to the universal law of karma, of cause and effect. There's about 3 or 4 questions, but I'll just talk on cause and effect, and the talk will answer the questions. I promise, or I hope and fear. So anyway, I rejoice in your meritorious goodness as always. Study, practice, share the Dharma to the best of your abilities. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya.